So it looks like PayPal co-founder, billionaire, libertarian actually, he says he's a libertarian, Peter Thiel, Silicon Valley rock star, I guess, native, famous guy, venture capitalist, one of the first investors in Facebook, I believe the first institutional investor in Facebook, Peter Thiel, has now said that China is using Bitcoin as a financial weapon against the United States. Now, China is coming out with their digital yuan, their digital currency, but it has nothing to do with Bitcoin or the blockchain or crypto as we know it now. It's not decentralized like crypto is. You can actually program the Chinese digital currency. You can actually program it so that people, if they have the digital yuan, they may have 2 months to spend it, otherwise it disappears. That's awful. It has nothing to do with Bitcoin and decentralized finance, the digital Chinese yuan. It's a completely different thing. It's not on the blockchain. It's not transparent. It's not open. It's programmable. It's the complete opposite of what Bitcoin and Ethereum and Hex and EMC squared and Litecoin and everything else, Chainlink, synthetics, all that stuff. It's the complete opposite. So that's the first thing. So there's a lot of talk about it. That's why I'm bringing it up. But Peter Thiel to say that Bitcoin is being used by China is ridiculous. Anyway, let's get into this story from Cointelegraph here. It says that the PayPal co-founder and venture capitalist Peter Thiel has warned that the Chinese central government may be supporting Bitcoin as a means to undermine the foreign and monetary policy of the United States. But he added it has tried to use the euro the same way. Okay, so he said the same thing about the euro. Now keep in mind, Peter Thiel later on in this article admits that he's actually a crypto guy. So I imagine he has quite a large holding of Bitcoin. I'm sure he has a large bag of Bitcoin and crypto. So he was speaking at a virtual event hosted by conservative nonprofit, the Richard Nixon Foundation. Thiel was commenting on whether China's central bank issued digital currency or the CBDC could threaten the US dollar status as global reserve currency. While Thiel, who is known to be pro-Bitcoin, suggested an internal stablecoin in China will amount to little more than some sort of totalitarian measuring device. That's true. A stable coin. It's the digital yuan is just, it's a digital currency that they're coming up with, but it's a central bank issued digital currency. Like I said, it's not transparent, it's centralized, it's completely controlled by the government. It's not on the blockchain. It's not on an open ledger. It's programmable. So I mean, at one snap, with the flick of a switch, the Chinese can say, you know what, all your money goes to zero. I mean, that's the power that they'll have with this digital currency. It actually sounds like a nightmare. So it's the exact opposite of the blockchain and of crypto and of all the amazing things that crypto has to offer, decentralized finance has to offer. Anyway, this is what Thiel said. From China's point of view, they don't like the US having this reserve currency because it gives a lot of leverage over oil supply chains and all sorts of things like that. He said, even though I'm pro-crypto, pro-Bitcoin maximalist person, I do wonder whether if at this point Bitcoin should also be thought of in part as a Chinese financial weapon against the US, where it threatens fiat money, but it especially threatens the US dollar. Now, I don't know, why is he saying this? He's saying on the one side, he's a pro-Bitcoin maximalist person. On the other side, Thiel is saying that we should view Bitcoin as being a threat to the US dollar reserve currency and the US hegemony. It's just, I mean, he's speaking out of both sides of his mouth, isn't he? Thiel alluded to Chinese efforts to denominate oil trades in euros during recent years in a bid to undermine the global standing of the dollar, stating, I think the euro you can think of as part of a Chinese weapon against the dollar. The last decade didn't really work that way, but China would have liked to see two reserve currencies like the euro. Look, if anything, the euro is a weapon of the United States. I mean, Europe is a construct of the US. The European Union is a complete construct of the US. The EU was built so that the US has more control of Europe, so that the US has a central point of contact to control Europe instead of 30 different countries. Remember, Europe and NATO are kind of, hand in hand. They're the yin and the yang. You're in the EU, then you go into NATO. You're into NATO, you go into the EU. So the US has control of Europe from a military standpoint, then they have control of Europe from a financial, social, political standpoint. So, I mean, I would say that the euro is more a weapon of the United States exerting control over Europe than China. As such, Thiel concludes that supporting Bitcoin offers China an elegant means to weaken the dollar's standing internationally. This is a quote from Thiel. China wants to do things to weaken the dollar. China's long Bitcoin. And perhaps from a geopolitical perspective, the US should be asking some tougher questions about exactly how that works. How about the US stop printing trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars? How about Biden stop the $10 trillion printing spree that he's about to undertake? I think that would help the US dollar a lot more than China and Bitcoin. So this is complete BS coming out of Thiel's mouth after he admits that he's a crypto maximalist. There's something else here. There's something more to this. Billionaires don't come out and make these statements unless they're trying to push an agenda that will make them richer. So maybe he's saying this to make Bitcoin harder for Americans to purchase, so that once again Bitcoin becomes an asset that only the wealthy oligarchs can possess. That could be one angle that he's trying to push. Have the government crack down on purchasing Bitcoin for Americans, the average everyday Americans who want to, climb the ladder, the social ladder, the financial ladder, by investing in cryptocurrency, by bettering their lives. Maybe this is a technique for Thiel to say, you know what? Us oligarchs, me and Bezos and Zuckerberg, we'll have access to Bitcoin, but let's make it so that Bitcoin becomes more difficult for the everyday average Americans to purchase. So let's say that it's a Chinese weapon. Let's lobby the US government to crack down on Bitcoin exchanges, leaving us as the only people, us oligarchs, as the only people who could buy and hold and trade Bitcoin. That could be one of his angles. I don't know. If you guys think of another angle, let me know. But it's really interesting that he's coming out with this position after he admits that he's, and I quote, a pro-Bitcoin maximalist person, his quote. So he's definitely pushing an angle here. It's not for the betterment of American society. It's for the betterment of his oligarch Silicon Valley circle. You'd have to shut down the internet to ban Bitcoin, says the SEC's Hester Peirce. On a small side note, any government efforts to ban Bitcoin would be foolish, said Hester Peirce, aka Crypto Mom, a very Bitcoin-friendly commissioner at the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission at the SEC, during a Market Watch virtual conference earlier this week, according to Crypto Slate reporter Liam Frost. Quote, I think we were past that point very early on because you'd have to shut down the internet, Peirce said, adding, I don't see how you could ban it. You could certainly make the effort. It would be very hard to stop people from trading Bitcoin. So I think it would be foolish. It would be a foolish thing for the government to try to do that. Not only that, but the government would immediately wipe out $2 trillion in net wealth, the market cap of the crypto sector, an event that would have profoundly deleveraging consequences. And since much of that wealth is now backed by debt, for example, all those debt-funded purchases of Bitcoin by MicroStrategy, such a move by the government would immediately destabilize the all-important debt market. So this kind of goes off the back of what Thiel said. Maybe Thiel is trying to get some government regulation in order to make it more difficult for the everyday person to purchase Bitcoin. But we have this statement coming out of the SEC's Hester Peirce, which says if you try to shut down Bitcoin, well, you'd have to shut down the internet. So nice try, Peter Thiel. But for now, at least for now, Bitcoin is open to all of us to purchase it. Crypto is open to all of us. Decentralized finance is open to all of us. And we can all get involved and make our lives better by getting involved in crypto, learning about crypto, investing in crypto, and we could all improve our financial position. and be rid of the control of the central banks and be rid of the control of these oligarchs. And that's why people like Thiel are worried, because cryptocurrency and Bitcoin finally gives us the opportunity to rid ourselves of the oligarch class. They don't control us with decentralized finance, and that's important. Anyway, guys, that's the video. Go to the Duran shop, pick up some merch, hoodies, mugs. Check out our channels down below, all our channels, the Duran, Alexander's channel. All those links are down below as well. And of course, Bitcoin. I have Bitcoin, I have Ethereum, Litecoin, Hex, EMC squared, all kinds of interesting cryptocurrencies that you can learn about. And all those addresses are down below as well to help out this demonetized channel. You see, this channel is demonetized because I'm running through the centralized control of YouTube. All of that will change with the blockchain. So patience. All right, guys, take care.